G'day and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, I want to show you how to make it easier for you to get up off the ground. Now, getting up off the ground may not seem like a big deal to many of you, especially if you're a little bit younger and getting on and off the ground is something that comes naturally to you. But for a number of different reasons, as we tend to get a little bit older, getting on and off the ground can become more difficult for a large number of people, which can also become quite a stressful thing to carry around with you day to day. Because one of the big contributing factors for people that have a fear of falling over is not having that capacity or the confidence in your capacity to be able to get yourself back up again without the help of someone or something. So what I want to go through in this video is I want to touch on 3 exercises that you can do at home that will improve the flexibility and the strength needed to make getting up off the ground easier with the help of something, or hopefully without anything, just to give you more confidence that you can do this anywhere at any time. So 3 general things that you need to be able to take yourself from being on the floor to being upright and moving around again is you need to have enough flexibility through your legs, more specifically your hips. You need to have enough strength through your legs to drive yourself up off the ground, but you also need the strength to be able to push through your arms to help lift yourself up off the ground in unison with your leg function to then allow you to get up and move. And so the 3 exercises that we're going to go through are going to attempt to try and make that easier for you over time. So the first exercise we want to touch on is going to try and improve your ability to flex your hip. Again, this is crucial to be able to get your foot up underneath you in order to propel yourself upwards when you're trying to stand up. So how I'd like you to do this is once you have your foot up on something comfortable for you, we want to make sure that your foot is flat on the ground. I'd like you to drop your knee out as far as it'll go without your foot rolling over and your big toe lifting up. From here, we don't just want you to bend forwards, but I'd like you to take your hips back as you lean forwards past your knee, not towards your knee, because that could jam the front of your hip up a little bit. So as we're coming knee out the way past your knee, if you can make it to the surface that you're on, that's fantastic. If not, it doesn't matter. You can rest your arm on your knee just to take the load out of your back. And what we're looking for is we're looking for some tightness and some restriction high up in that hamstring, the top of that thigh, just underneath your butt cheek there. If you do feel like it's grabbing at the front, just make sure that your knee's out a little bit further and don't go towards your knee. Try and come away from your knee a little bit more, but find the best version of this stretch for you. What I'd like you to do from here is that once you've found that tight position, make everything squeeze, tense everything up. So squeeze your butt cheek, squeeze your thigh up, squeeze the front of your knee up, push your foot down into the bed, make that work for about 10 seconds. What this does, as always, is it gets your brain involved so that when you stop squeezing and relax, you should find that there's instantly a tiny little bit more range of motion there than what you had before. So we want to keep repeating that process, giving it a squeeze, holding that for about 10 seconds, relaxing, going further and further and further until you feel like you've either had enough or you've stopped making change. And then what you should find instantaneously after doing that is that you should feel like your ability to bend your knee is better than what it was before you did this exercise. And again, this is going to give you a greater capacity to swing your leg up into this position and also to be able to lean forward from this position to be able to leverage a better shape for you then to stand up and get on with your day. So the second exercise that we want to touch on here goes about trying to improve the strength of some of the muscles that are crucial to allowing you to push yourself up off the ground, but also in context with the movement that you might actually need to be in while you're getting up off the ground. And all that basically means is we're going to go through some lunges. Now, lunges are a fantastic strength exercise for both your front leg and your back leg. You want to make sure that one foot is in front of the other, stretched apart. You do want to have something to balance yourself with if you feel like that is an issue for you. The mistake a lot of people make with the lunge is we think of it as like a forward lunge where you're lunging forward. But what I'd like you to do with this is think of your back leg, stay up nice and tall. Imagine that you're just dropping your back knee down and then coming back up again. Now, if you're having some difficulty getting up off the ground, getting down to this position and then getting back up again from this position might also be challenging for you initially. Don't go down as low. So if you find that it's difficult getting down to here, then all I'll ask you to do is start with a quarter or a half. Just go down as deep as you feel comfortable while maintaining an upright position, making sure that you're not leaning forwards too much, just coming up and down, making sure that the muscles at the front of your thigh and in your glutes are doing all the work to lower you down and lift you back up again. You might also find that the muscles of the opposite leg through the front are also working. That's perfectly reasonable. We just want to make sure that you do enough of these that you find some generous fatigue. That might be 3 sets of 10, it might be 3 sets of 15, but make sure that over time you feel like you're progressively getting lower and lower and lower with this exercise, because if you can get to this point, again, this is that position that we found where if you get your leg up, and then it makes it easy for you then to drive yourself up if you've been practicing that ad nauseum beforehand. And so the final exercise in this video that will hopefully make it easy for you to get up off the ground eventually is giving you something to strengthen the muscles in your upper limbs. And upper limbs often get missed a lot when we're having this conversation because getting up off the ground often feels like predominantly a leg-related thing. But it goes without saying that if you have an ability to push up with your arms more, whether that is if your legs aren't comfortable, or if you've got a bad knee or a bad hip, but being able to lean forward and put enough weight through an object to then allow your body to come up, or at least take some of the load off a sore knee or a weak leg, for example, the ability to push yourself up is an important part of getting up off the ground. So again, a really simple way to do this in a way that closely resembles some of the movements that you'll need to do if you're trying to get up off the ground with help from your arms is what we call a dip. Now, obviously, the object that you do this from needs to be respectful to how confident and competent you feel with this exercise. I'm going to do the dip off the bench here. You can do this off a tabletop that's a little bit higher. You can do it off the arm of a chair. Choose a surface that you feel is manageable for you, that feels very safe, but also feels like you can get some decent fatigue from the exercise so that your muscles come back stronger over time. So again, what we're looking for with this dip is you want to have your hands behind you. You want to shift your hips off the surface that you're on. Being up nice and tall, we just want you to lower yourself down as deep as you feel comfortable and then come back up again. Now, as with the lunges, clearly getting right down to the bottom and then coming all the way back up again requires a heap of shoulder range of motion to lower yourself down here and come back up again. But again, if you have some shoulder dysfunction or something that limits you from doing this, take the same top-down approach where eventually we would love for you to get down to here, have the flexibility and the strength through your shoulders and arms to then push yourself back up again. But there's no harm in starting small, staying in a very safe, comfortable range to begin with. And as you feel like your capacity improves, you can go down lower and lower and lower to challenge yourself further. But as with any of these exercises, it's really important that we do it correctly. So again, similar to a lunge, we want to make sure that your trunk is relatively straight and that when you're dipping down, you're not sort of hinging forwards through your trunk. We also want to make sure that your shoulders stay back as best as possible and you're dipping down from this position, not a position where you feel like your shoulders are rounding and coming down from there. This is a much less mechanically safe position for your shoulders than it is with your shoulders back. So please try and keep those shoulders back as you're dipping up and down to make sure that you really feel it working through your triceps, through those shoulder muscles, potentially through your chest a little bit as well. But ultimately, we need to find a respectful level that generates some fatigue for you so that over the days, weeks, months, years, you feel like these muscles consistently get stronger and stronger, and to then make it easier for you to complement that leg flexibility, that leg strength that you're developing, to make the whole package easier for you to then get up off the floor more safely, with more confidence, so you don't have to deal with this fear or this dysfunction long term. So once again, I genuinely hope that was helpful. Please let me know in the comments down below which one of those three you feel you need the most work on. So if you enjoyed the video and you found it genuinely helpful, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you do like this kind of content. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.